Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited that today, if all goes well, there's a lot of craziness happening in my apartment complex today, where we have lights turning on and off and internet's going down and like all these funny things happening. So I apologize if we have any interruptions, but I get to have a very beautiful, amazing special guest today with us named Danette Lowe. And I'm going to give you a little bit of her bio here. Danette Lowe, CFP, is the founder of TruNorth Wealth Management and author of The Early Start Retirement Plan. With over 25 years in financial planning, she empowers individuals to create secure, value-driven futures. Through her book and expertise, Danette helps align financial goals with personal passions, providing anyone can design a fulfilling life now and in retirement. She also founded Shine First Today to help busy professionals reduce stress and achieve their dreams through her C.A.L.M method. Danette is passionate about empowering others to live authentically and pursue their passions. Danette, hi.
Hi. Hi, thank you for having me. How nice.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here with us. And by the way, guys, if you say hi to me in the comments. I might see them. We're having some technical fun stuff, but I am thrilled because we're going to talk about going from retirement goals to writing dreams and building your legacy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how are we doing this? Because it's like a financial advising mashup with writing and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, tell us, first off, you wrote a book. You wrote the book.
Yeah, finally, after all these years, I have always wanted to write a book since I was a little kid. And I was afraid of, writing something and somebody turning me down. And I heard it's really hard. And as we've gotten older and older, we can do self-publishing now. So I decided that I would not let that hold me back. And I started writing this book after I started the podcast. And it got done. It got done this year and published. And it's a great life accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I just want to say hi to Chris Kennedy Wright. She is visiting with us on the As You Write community. So I'm going to turn down my volume here and make sure I'm not, blasting here. And Stacey Marie Christopher, Zach Chambers. You guys are also watching over there on the As You Write community. Welcome, welcome. Please say hi to us in the comments. Danette is one of our new collaboration authors, but as we were saying, she's written her own book as well. So, which is absolutely so very cool. And I cannot wait to get my copy. Again, it's Early Start Retirement. There it is, .com. I totally love that cover too. So when you were thinking about it and writing your book and getting there, what was that inspiration to write the Early Start Retirement Plan, and how was your expertise in financial planning shaped your writing journey? We're kind of doing a mashup of retirement and writing.
Yeah, there's so many similarities to planning for retirement and planning for writing a book. When I first started the idea of writing the book, every time I started to write about the mechanics of how to do an IRA or how to contribute to your 401k, I got bored. And I was like, if I'm bored writing it, you're going to be bored reading it. And so I had to really take a step back and say, what would be interesting? And what I did 2 years ago was I started a podcast called the Ready to Retire podcast. And in that, in writing an episode, when I first started, my first episodes are chapters in books, because my first episodes, I wrote them all, and I was only doing the podcast, not the YouTube. And it was, they were 3,000 to 5,000 words, which is like a chapter, right? And I was doing one every other week at that length. And as I did that, that really helped me develop my voice and what I liked writing about and what people liked hearing about. And I just stayed open as I was having my conversations with my clients about what are they interested in. So I think it was that starting small instead of picturing myself writing an entire book, I wrote on a particular topic and I wrote on a particular topic. And then that helped me to build up the chapters.
I think that's so that is an incredible approach, because and we're actually in the process of working on something that's going to actually make it really easy for writers to primarily do videos or do, you know, kind of audio content or podcasting, and take their video content, transcribe it, and turn it into a book for them. Like, that's one of the things that are kind of our next things for people who just are like, I am not a writer. I do not want to write. Don't make me write. But they're excellent talkers. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It's the same thing that, like, retirement planning is. If you think about the entirety of retirement planning, it can be this overwhelming thing. And for me too, as I thought about the entirety of writing a book and trying to get 50 to 75,000 words for a book, it was an overwhelming thing. And when I broke it down into this small little chapter, for the podcast, I was like, I noticed that these were like chapters. Like I could see that starting to develop. And the same thing goes true with planning for your retirement. A lot of people just punt. Like 42% of Americans don't plan at all for retirement. They simply stop working. And so, what I'm trying to do with this book is say, here are a portfolio of things that you can do. So, we talk about everything in the book. The chapter one is about living with purpose and living with intention. Every single chapter is about something you can do in retirement and breaking it down. And it's the same thing if you're going to write a book, break it down into small segments, and then as your mind like tunes into that one chapter, and if you sit down and just start writing, you're be amazed at how much you can get done.
Oh yeah, it's wild. I was actually just recently on the phone with someone who's a good friend of mine, and who's talking about, you know, how do we get started? How, you know, do I organize it? How do I organize it in a particular way? But really what it all boils down to is exactly what you're saying there, is just do it.
Yeah.
You know, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, start on your retirement plan. I remember I had to coax myself into speaking about the financial future with Todd and me, and he had to help me out of it too, because I had so much fear around it. You know, I was
Yeah.
like, you know, we don't have anything, so why am I going to talk to anybody about not having anything? You know, I don't want to look into that mirror, you know. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah, like, well, we won't have anything if we keep this going this way, you know.
Yeah. A lot of times people, when they finally come to me, is a couple 2 to 3 years before they're ready to pull the trigger, before they're ready to retire, and they're like, did we save enough? And what I'm trying to do with the book is say, if you start, like, as soon as however old you are is not too late. So if you're joining me today, like, whatever age you are, it is not too late. If you have done no planning whatsoever, it doesn't matter. Today you can start. The same thing with writing a book. If you haven't written any word on any page, today you can start planning. And it can feel overwhelming, the totality, like, how can I keep all the variables straight? There's a lot of different variables, and and then just break it down to one thing at a time, and start small, break it into manageable chunks. And if you set a goal for time, like, I'm a big believer in setting goals that are habit based or time based. So I can't set a goal that says I'm going to write a book, but I can set a goal that says I'm going to write for 15 minutes from 8 a.m. to 8:15, right? And I usually write a little bit. I usually write about an hour at a time. And But so you can set your goal in an activity. And the same thing with retirement plan. You can say, I'm going to download an article. You can go to the earlystartretirement.com, and we have a retirement readiness quiz. It is a free quiz. It's 15 questions. It's free to download, and you will be on our email list. And on the questions, it has the questions, so you can kind of see where you're at, but then you can see why the questions were important. So if you see a question, you say, "Oh, I had no idea. I never even thought about that." In the answer section, and it's just a PDF. Um, the answer section tells you why the question's important, and it's a great start. And you can say, "Okay, here's 2 things I want to work on in 2025." Here's one thing I want to work on, or here's something I want to know more about. And then do what you're doing. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube channels. There's tons of great ones out there.
Yeah, that's that's excellent advice. It's like we don't have to eat the whole elephant,
Right.
just one bite at a time. And that's how books are written. It's just
Yeah.
one sentence at a time sometimes. And sometimes whole sections come out as a result of just sitting down and doing it, and not really being totally concerned about, all the nuance and all the things and making sure everything makes total sense all the time. I say we write a book for ourselves first, and we want to know, and what did we learn along the way. And that's enough, because I've got a new collaboration book out now. I just put it out this morning, called From Startup to Stand Out, about women solopreneurs, and how they can essentially through this book be a bit of a mentor to new up and coming aspiring female led business owners.
Yeah.
And so it's like we don't know what an impact we're going to have until we actually just put the words to page. But as far as with early start retirement, there's this thread there that brings people back to you, back to your company, back to your service too, and back to that. And I love that on your website you have this kind of to be able to say, can I quantify where I actually am right now, at my age, and see where I'm supposed to go next. And Danette is the one that I need to use, which I think is where a book as your business card comes in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I have 2 goals. One, I have a goal of selling 1 million copies. Why is that? Because it's an amazing number, right? Like if I sold 1 million copies, and so I have a copy of this book, and on the inside cover, I wrote over 1 million copies sold, and I sleep with it under my pillow at night. So that's my manifest goal. And the other goal is a tool for introducing myself to clients. So I met with a couple yesterday. They were lovely, and they're thinking about hiring me as their financial advisor. And as a thank you for having that call, I sent them a copy of the book. So if you are a women business owner or any business owner, write a book. And I mean, it's been just even the podcast, even doing the podcast to get started, or a blog. I also do a blog too, because I take a theme and then I write an episode for the podcast, and I turn that into a more in-depth blog article. And my existing clients have more respect for me because of this writing. And I'm like, I'm the same person as I always was, but I get treated a lot better by some of my clients. So that's a nice side effect.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's instant authority. You're walking your talk, you're putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
It's obvious because it's so important, I think, as a business owner to be able to say, no, I believe this so much, I'm willing to put it in writing.
Yeah.
And I think it, but you know, and I always suggest the caveat of just saying, you know, I haven't learned everything there is to know about all of this yet, you know, whether it's somebody that's working on a personal development type of book or that kind of thing. So, you know, you'll see that revised edition in a few years, or you'll see, you know, my second volume to this because I'm growing and developing too, you know. So I think a lot of times some fears come up in people that say, well, I have to stick to this concept for the forever, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't have to do that even if you're a politician nowadays.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You
Right.
just
Like,
let yourself grow and develop and learn and understand. And I think when we add that in, but there are also those fundamental principles that are true, what's true always. And you probably got those going in the book as well.
yeah, yeah. The funny thing is as you, when you get past the writing stage and you're onto the editing stage and the publishing stage, and in our industry everything has to go through compliance, and I was very well honored. We sent out pre-advanced copies of the books, and I was able to get a gentleman named David Darce to write a recommendation. And he is he's an amazing human being, but he was the former director of investments at Morgan Stanley, and
Oh,
he's on CNBC all the time, and he wrote an endorsement. And it is amazing how different people are impacted by what you wrote. So
mhm.
I've had comments from people that are older saying, I didn't think that I would get anything from it because I'm already retired. And yet I found I was really enjoying each chapter. And I was especially attracted to this, or I was especially attracted to that. And a young person who read the book was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I can't wait to start. And so, as you, as an author thinking about writing, you might think that my experience isn't, I don't have enough experience. A lot of times we suffer from imposter syndrome,
Right.
and we're afraid that our opinion doesn't matter. And when you get the feedback from after you've done it and it's out there, and people who read it go back to you and say, wow, that gave me confidence, I didn't know about that, and now you put it in a way that I could understand. So we do have some fundamental principles in there, but a lot of it is about dreaming and creating and
Yeah.
creating a vision for your own life. Like, I think this is more about life design than retirement planning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I have a couple of questions for you. I just want to give a shout out again to Chris Kennedy, right? She said that she met both of us in Skamania.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I was going to ask. I know you, right, Chris?
Yeah.
I saw your. I heard her say your name in the beginning. I can't see the comments on my screen.
Yeah, I
I was
can't.
like, I think
I
I
can't
know
either.
Chris.
Yeah, I can't either. I actually have to look over on this other phone that I have here, and I'm.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's see. Let's see. What are my additional questions? I feel like we kind of went through some of the fears. But let me ask you just to quantify a little bit. What fears do people face about retirement, and how do they compare to writing a first book?
Um, the 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 biggest fear that we see is have I saved enough? And so have I done enough? And that I think is going to be obviously very similar to writing a book. Like, am I worthy enough to write it? Like, do I have enough to say? And really, the most people come and say they really just want to make sure they're going to have a roof over their head and food on the table. Like, people, when they go to plan their retirement, their like goal for what retirement can look like is such a low threshold. Like almost anybody coming to me, we're like, yeah, you probably could get that done on Social Security if you had to. And so so maybe the same thing with writing a book. Like maybe you can get a pared down generic book done with some of the tools that are available today. So the idea would be, instead of being afraid of doing this, is start to be curious. If you have fear about it, change that into curiosity. Well, is it possible for me to open a cooking school in retirement? Is it possible for me to travel? I know people that rent their house out in the United States so that they can travel 6 months out of the year. And they travel all over and they use the rent. So their income is like, it's a wash. They're not spending anything. And so be curious about what's possible, instead of, when you feel fear, just say, okay, that's because I'm learning and growing. And I have fear. Our brains are kicking in with that fight or flight response. And our brain is literally afraid that if we write a book, we're going to die.
I know.
If we've never written a book and we're wanting to write a book, our brain's like, that could be fatal. We are not going to do that. And it tries to have you out of it. So my son recently said to say, or I read this in another book, and the author said, thank you for your share. So tell your brain, when you start to feel free, thank you for your share, but I'm not interested, and go on. And people don't plan, like people spend more time planning their summer vacation than they do their retirement.
Right.
Because of fear, because of uncertainty. And when you go through our process, our financial planning process, we sit and we have an initial conversation, then we have a discovery meeting where we try to find out where your goals are. Then we sit down and start planning out, like, what have you done so far? And usually it's not nothing. Usually people have done something so far, and then it doesn't matter where you are. And then the next step is, okay, what can we do? This can we do? One lady started, she just changed careers. She went back to school in middle age and changed careers, and she's starting with just $50 a month in her account.
Wow.
You can start
transferring it to the
she inherited a little bit of money. So she started with that, and now in her new job, she's just putting $50 a month in until she gets her next raise, and then she's going to go up. But yeah, you can start anywhere.
Just a little bit of something.
It's just like writing that book, right? Just write a sentence, write 50 words, write 100 words. And then you're in the shower and say, oh yeah, and this. I mean, when I try to exercise in the morning, and I try to have a writing goal. Like, I have what I want to write about next. So I try to think about that while I'm exercising. And then when I'm done breakfast, I sit down and try to write for about an hour.
So are you already working on your next book?
I am, big thanks to you, Kyra. The last two I'm in 2 of your collaboration books. We just had the deadline on Monday, and yes, I submitted mine on Sunday night at 10 p.m. Thank you. But in my defense, it was my birthday weekend and we were out of town, so I had a few last minute. But the topics that Kyra's talking about are, for my second book that I'm writing, is going to be for Shine First. So I'm currently working on the next one. And because I've done it once now, a lot of the fear is gone. And so now it's like, now I'm excited and now I'm anxious, and I've got a schedule mapped out. So
great.
And the retirement planning book, then the year after, I'll probably write the sequel to this.
It's like potato chips. You can't eat just one. That the gateway drug. You're book is a gateway drug.
100%.
I'm telling you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to Chris Ann and Kenny Jaworski who are watching with us. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Say hi to us. So let's see, what's the next
Are
question?
you able to get questions? Does anyone have any
questions? Yeah. Please ask questions wherever you may be. I think I can see the ones on the As You Wish Publishing Facebook page, the As You Wish Publishing YouTube channel, and I can see questions on wherever this is. As You Write. So
nice.
But I think these are really, I mean, I know we're doing a mashup kind of thing, which I think is really kind of cool.
But great. Makes it interesting.
But they work together. They really do. You never would have thought, right? Yeah. What financial and emotional hurdles do people face when retiring, and how can those lessons apply to writing and publishing a book?
Yeah, I think what came to mind as far as hurdles is sickness, something called life quake. Like something happens in your life unexpectedly. Somebody gets a diagnosis, you lose someone that you love in your family. And those are the times for financial planning that it really helps to have a financial advisor in your life, because you can go to that person. And I think that those hurdles and obstacles are happening to us all the time. It's part of life. And so I think what can happen when we're writing is we can let it derail us. We can say, I have to deal with this other thing. I have to deal with this other. I have to help my son do this, or I have to help my mom do that. I was going to hire a woman recently, and she had to take care of a parent, so she couldn't come to work. So what we want to have happen in our lives, often we put ourselves aside to help care for other members of our family. And we think of writing as something, at least for me, as maybe being selfish with your time, because I write because I enjoy I did not know how much I enjoyed writing until I started writing for the podcast 2 years ago. And of course I have, not one, but 2 podcasts, because if you're going to do one, you might as well do 2. Right? If you're going to write, once the gate is open, and it's such an enjoying thing to do. And even if, to me, when I write, even if nobody reads it, I enjoy the process of writing. It's a little bit like journaling. I just try to be a little funny, and I try to be a little interesting, and I try to tell the story in a way like my grandma and grandpa and my great grandma used to tell stories all the time. They were really good at storytelling. And so I try to think of that. I try to channel them when I'm writing.
Yeah, same. My grandmother was a great storyteller, and she always loved to end our phone calls with a joke.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, Grandma, it's an awful joke. Awful. And it wasn't that it was a raunchy joke or anything, but it was just a terrible dad type of joke,
Right.
But that's what made her happy. And, but yeah, I love the storytelling of my family members. I had family members from Alabama, who, every gathering, it was the same story, but they would tell it in 50 different ways. And, I'm like, is there going to be a different outcome to this same story? But it's so interesting how people, how we're affected by storytelling. That's how we kept history alive. For so long before we could write it down. It's through song and through, telling of, around the campfire and that kind of thing. It's very special in that way. And it's very conversational, which I really like in writing too. Writing to me is a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Because when I get in and I just write, it clears the the boards for me, especially. And I started doing something called The Art is the Book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. You may have heard of it. And one of the things that she would do is called morning pages. And so it's just you write longhand, as fast as you can, basically anything that's on your mind. And then I was like, well, if I can do morning pages, I can do night pages. And then what a weird thing that came about was this little, character that I came up with, and I started writing a story while morning pages, when at first it was like a data dump of how my life is such shit, then I was like, oh no, I don't need to do that anymore. I'm going to write about this little, cat character that's, has a hard time eating vegetables, that kind of stuff.
For sure. Like I read somewhere about doing a brain dump journal. And so I made, I have a line of journals because I like to journal so much. So like if you go onto Amazon and type in Danette Lowe, you can see my other journals, and there's 4 or 5 of them. And I thought for kids, some of them are like designed like for the younger kids, kind of wider lines. And, but taking a timer and saying like 15 minutes and just doing a brain dump of all the random thoughts, it's so good for you. That's such a great idea. And when I'm really consistent in journaling, she's
I'm
going
so
excited.
Hold on. I gotta show you guys. Hold on.
Yeah, the big one I did a workbook last year that is called Thriving in the Fast Lane. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's the dump truck journal. Shut up. Sea turtle journal.
Yeah.
Fall asleep fast journal. Healing heart journal. Oh my God. I am in love with you. Because I mean that's so my jam. I created a murder mystery writers journal companion diary where you take these cards out and then you can come up with ideas and stuff. I did a mom's journal for diabetes because my mom was diagnosed with diabetes, so I was like, well, it might be good for her to have a place to mark all of her stuff and her numbers and also how she's feeling that day. And she's not a very good with her putting her emotions into words. And so I was like, she could just circle it. Yeah. Because that's information too. If you're feeling really stressed and your blood sugar is also off and, all that kind of stuff. So
I made one of them is a 90-day planner. So it's a productivity journal. And one of the things I love about it is it's meant, I give you 4 months, but it's meant to be for 90 days. But if you start on the 15th, you can go from the 15th to the 15th. So in it, there are monthly prompts in every section. The prompts are different. And that's the Thrive. Yeah, that one's Thriving in the Fast Lane. And that has a lot of, has a chapter. What do I have? I do have some in the other room. But it has weekly goals, annual goals, down to daily and daily gratitude. And I think having gratitude on a daily basis is the key for me. I'm very grateful for all the things that are available and happening in my life, and I have a lot of gratitude.
That just made me feel all warm and cozy because I ingest that. So I was like, why do I love Danette so much?
I love you too.
I know why now.
I love you too. 100%. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Oh, we got a thing. Oh, we got Natalie K. I love this. The journals are so cute. Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Thank you for commenting. And guys, say hi to us. we're still here. I only had the breaker go off once, and the interwebs are a little shaky, but I'm getting through. Yeah. And any questions that you have, financial questions, retirement questions, Natalie, please feel free to ask as well. and anybody else that's watching.
Yeah.
I just have a couple more questions for you. So, because we're doing this mashup here, how
Yep.
can aspiring authors balance financial stability and personal growth in both their writing and retirement planning? How can they balance that financial stability?
I think that um, writing a book can be expensive, right? Because you might have people helping you with the editing and helping you with copywriting and helping you with publishing and book design and then publishing. And a friend of mine just released her book a couple weeks ago, and she's having somebody help her with the audio version, the audible version.
Audible?
And
Yeah.
that's very expensive. I'd like to find a lower cost option for that. But I would like to do an audible version for mine. Um, so
I got your back. I got you back. I
oh,
guarantee you we're lower priced.
oh, good, good. I have all the equipment to do the speaking, and then
Perfect.
I obviously can have done the podcast, so speaking's okay. But I need help with the editing. But so going into it, there can be costs. So you do have to set and have a budget. But today's day and age for writing a book, you can do on Canva. You can make your cover on Canva. You can self-publish through Amazon. If your budget is zero, set your budget first. If it's $0, let it be $0, because you can open up a Google Doc and you can get it all formatted. Then you can put it into um, print it in as a PDF, put it into Canva, and self-publish, upload it to Amazon. It doesn't cost anything to do any of those things. And but if you're working and you do have a little bit of a budget, then pick what are the things you need the help with the most. I need help with the book cover, like the book design. Like I had a graphic designer do the formatting the book. Don't trust me with that stuff. I barely like my manuscript was literally a single Word document. And if I wanted to go to chapter 8, I had to scroll my mouse down because I do not even know how to write a document. Like I know nothing about word process. Excel is fine. I'm a finance girl. And
Yeah,
keep that
you
in
got
mind
it.
too. I'm good with numbers. So you might think, I don't know how to write because I'm good with numbers, but you do. Everybody does.
Yeah, and just because we are a publishing services company,
Yeah.
where our
Yeah.
income is based on people not knowing how to do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danette is absolutely right. You can do it for $0, and also it took me a year, so just understanding the scope of these things too. It took me a year to get my first book up with our collaboration book, Happy Thoughts Playbook. And I was doing it on my own, and I learned how to do it. And it was very hard and very time consuming for me because I wanted it to be pristine. I wanted it to look amazing. I wanted to look professional. I wanted to look fantastic. Just like Danette is saying, don't trust her with the book cover design, because and we don't trust ourselves with the book cover design. We hire that out as well because we know enough to know we don't know everything that's happening in the publishing industry. But yes, what she's saying is absolutely true. You can do all of this on your own for $0, and it's complete sweat equity. I would recommend learning how to do it too. Like there's plenty of YouTube videos out there too. Yeah,
that's how. And then you can see. Then if you start to sell copies, then you can. But make a budget would be the thing. That's how you balance the finance in anything. Like sometimes people want to retire and they want to go on world-class vacations annually. Well, that's fine, but you have to have a certain amount in the budget to do that. If the budget is $5,000 a month and you're spending 10, you're going to get into trouble. Same thing with the book. If you're going to do this, I guess ask yourself, what is the purpose of the book? If the purpose of the book is to promote your business, then if you get 10 clients and that is worth $10,000 to you, how much are you willing to spend on the publishing part? Quite a lot, I would think,
Right.
because that's value and your credibility and writing articles from your local paper, and people look at you like, oh my God, you wrote a book. Like they're so appreciative of that. I mean, people like most people I know, I think, want to be authors.
It's just such a unique thing, to be a writer, and not just be a writer, but to be someone who actually produces it and uses it as a tool to, get your message out there, or maybe even, if you're doing it and it's a fiction, novel,
Yeah.
you may not be using it necessarily. You just may be using it to get people to the next book, to the next copy.
Yeah.
Just trying
My
to get all my
granddaughter.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Kyra told me that if we lose her, that I should keep talking. So Kyra, we've lost you a little bit. If you can hear me, I'm going to just keep talking. My granddaughter says, Grammy, I can't believe you're an author. And she calls me author Grammy sometimes. And she said, Grammy, can I give your book to my teacher? And she took my book and turned it into school and gave it to her teacher as a gift and said, my Grammy wrote this. And it's a really fun accomplishment. Poor Kyra, I'm sure she's going to be right back. Dream is to write fiction because it's so much fun, and nonfiction to promote my accounting firm. That's really great. And I was watching, I was reading Lean Marketing by Alan Dibb. So if you haven't heard of Alan Dibb, he's amazing. He's written the one-page marketing plan and Lean Marketing. And he talks about, in accounting, it's hard to stand out. It's hard to stand out in a profession like accounting, and lawyers, obviously, and probably financial advisors too. And he says writing a book is an absolute game changer to make you stand out. And he specifically used accounting. So, Kyra, I did my best. I kept talking.
You did great. You did great. I can hear some of it. How am I? Am I still fuzzy, foggy?
No, you're not. You're back to normal. Your first
Good,
class.
good. I love that. And you answered her here. My dream is to write fiction, a nonfiction, promote my accounting. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's just have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's that's what it's all about. We write our books for ourselves, and then other people come to enjoy it with us. And if we take it from that perspective, I find that it's really, really wonderful. And, like you said, Danette, if the intention behind your book is to turn it into a potential moneymaker, because clients are going to come back, or you can use it as a value bonus add-on to like a package or program or something like that, then that really amps it up. Not only that, but you might get more speaking engagements as a result and get in front of more people.
I already have. We have a local. I'm a member of our local chamber of commerce, and they have a quarterly newsletter, and we can put in our little ad. And I said, do you need a speaker at your next event? And I had a picture of the book, and I've gotten calls.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to speak at a couple of groups, 50 to 75 people. The broker dealer I'm associated with, I'm an independent financial advisor, is having me do the keynote speaker, I'm the final speaker at a conference in 2 weeks in Nashville. And I said I wanted to gift the advisors a copy of my book, because I, of course, would love to get more clients, but I wrote it for any financial advisor could be comfortable giving this to their clients because it would have value. And they bought 125 copies of the book. So that was nice.
yeah.
And then put on the sign that I was gifting it. I was like, well, you guys paid for it.
Well,
So,
how lovely is
cool.
that?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Natalie, I just want to let you know that, you know, for your accounting firm, since you're a female-led business, we just put out a new book called Startup to Stand Out, and it's about successful women solopreneurs. So if that's something that resonates with you, like I said, it's a collaboration book. So it's asyouwishpublishing.com/we write. And that's where we write together. So you're going to be with your other, you know, kind of entrepreneuristas and female-led business owners, so that you guys can network together, and you can also basically be mentors to those women who are up and comers through a book. And all of our books got a bestseller on Amazon, and we also do wholesale to retail, so that you're able to, you know, sell your books for profit. And we're also doing profit share for this book. So whatever money is made at the end of the year of, you know, from the time of publish, we will split that among, we're hoping to get 30 female business owners in that book to just, you know, broaden our voice a little bit more, because even Simon Sinek said, I put this on my thing, women make the best CEOs. We have a different level of understanding, of compassion, of what the companies need, the structure, and how we approach problem solving. It's very unique when it comes to women. So I'd love for you to be a part of that book, if that makes sense for you. Let's see what she said. I'm just getting started. So that sounds fantastic. Perfect. It is a good tool because you're able to do your bio and draw people back to your company as well. So I'm all about that, you know, and I'm all about you guys connecting with each other, and those lasting connections, so that you guys can refer. I mean, just thinking about Danette, you know, as a financial advisor and an accountant, that seems like kind of a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And also too, it's a business write-off, which you probably know as an accountant now. Asyouwishpublishing.com/we write. I also want to pull up Danette's our early start retirement plan. This is her website. Look at that. I just love this, you guys. Seriously. If you're a business owner, please, 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 and you're using your book to build your business, please do something cool and dope like this. Because look at that. Download the early retirement quiz. Do you use a quiz program, or is it kind of through an Excel, or how do you do it?
Yeah. Go ahead and download it. You will get a PDF. So in our industry, they would not let us use ScoreApp. I was signed up for ScoreApp. I wanted to use ScoreApp. They're really good at doing these quizzes. But in our industry, they were afraid that people would give confidential information. I go, no, it's yes, no questions. It's like, have you done this? Have you done this? Do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Have you, why might you need one? But it's, anyway.
It's a PDF, and then they score themselves.
It's a PDF, and it has a scoring system. And then the answer section is like why the question was asked. And so it's great. And I did for that website, like my book designer, she made it a website. Like I didn't do that part, but I did all the copy.
Okay.
And I did the format. And the book cover, one tip for anyone who's wanting to write a book is visualize it when it's done. So one of the things that I did was I went to an art and craft fair and in local here in Nevada, and a local author had his books on the table, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to do that when my book is done. I'm going to rent a booth at this art and craft fair, and I'm going to sell my book. And I visualized this color of the book. And when we first did, because my business colors are purple, we first did it, it was this color. And when I saw it in the proof, the first proof, I said, no, it's gold. In my vision, it's gold. So you got to change it. and having that strong visualization of what it looked like when I was done really helped me to power through all the things. And I had a lot of life situations happen this year. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer. Two of my closest employees left. One had mental health issues. One was to be a stay-at-home mom. And all of a sudden I was like by myself at work for a period of time. And while I got the book published, while I got the podcast, I mean, it was crazy this year. So having that mental visual image of it done, it's a cool tool to use.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's very hard to, I remember I had an employee who left, just said, okay, I'm gone. And I was like, what? How am I going to do? I can't, I have no bandwidth for this.
That happened to me, and I was getting on a plane and she knew it, and I was at the airport and had my boarding pass out and I was waiting in line, and I said, oh, I'll just pop in an email because I'm sitting there, and it was like resignation letter. I just talked to her yesterday. She was virtual, but there was no heads up.
That's a good thing to put in like the new book.
Oh,
for the new women's book, because Lord, I mean,
my girlfriends think I should write a comedy skit on some of the experiences I've had. Yeah. We won't get into it, but I had somebody on day one steal a laptop. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had that too. I had just moved into my office and I forgot to close the blinds, and apparently somebody walking by decided a good brick through the window seemed like a great idea. Stole the laptop off the desk, and because I wasn't thinking, I just oh, it's the worst. And then it's like all of my stuff. It was like before we had clouds and things.
Yeah.
It's like,
do you back up? Yeah, good lesson. Do back up your work. If you're writing in Word, I backed up to a different file.
Email it to yourself.
Yeah, I want to say every 20 minutes or so. Like I figured I could recover 20 minutes of writing.
That's right. I'm always doing like Control S.
Yeah.
Saving. Okay, so let's see. I think I have one more question. What advice do you have for new authors to ensure their book builds both their legacy and a fulfilling life?
Oh, what a great question. The act of doing it is really fulfilling. The act of writing. So like I really realistically say, if no one ever reads the book, I'm happy that I did it. So me personally, you talked about self-care earlier. So me personally, it's fulfilling to me just that I wrote it, and then I edited it, and then I sent it out and got some early feedback we got some praise fours to put on. And then the compliance officer who read it said when her feedback was, they didn't really have to change much. Her feedback was, I really enjoyed reading your book. And man, that talk about fulfilling, that's amazing. So write for yourself and write with no expectation. And that alone is super fulfilling and satisfying. But then to get these other little feedbacks has really been exciting.
Yeah. I think this went really well. considering how crazy my situation is over here. And so thank you for everybody watching, for your patience, and for letting me be all gobbledygooky here and there, and Danette being her flawless, most beautiful self.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I'm so happy to be here. Kyra, I think you froze at the last minute. Perfect timing, I think. Oh man, Kyra, it was going great. And I think she's out. Okay, so anyone have any more questions? Kyra should probably be right back. She has been delightful to work for. Oh, there she is. Are you coming back? I heard you a little bit. There you are.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. As soon as I said it.
You called it.
You see, I'm in the dark right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, if you guys have stayed with us till the end here, I just want to say thank you to Danette for joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and hop off before it turns off again.
Thank you.
But Danette, is there anything you'd like to leave our friends with here? And I've got earlier start retirement plan, earlystartretirement.com. Anything else you'd like to leave our friends with?
Oh, just that writing the chapters for the collaboration books have been really great, because I know the 2 that I've done so far are both going to be the basis for chapters in the other book I'm writing. And so the alignment of that is really well. And it's like writing, like, it might seem like a lot to write 1,250 words or 1,300 words. But man, I was like, I had to cut things out because I was way over the word count. And so it's been really a pleasure working with you on these books, and I wish you every success for them. They look amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And they have been amazing, and you've been fantastic. So, I hope you keep joining us for books in the future and doing all kinds of good stuff. We've got Synchronicity that's coming up, so very excited for that.
Cool.
And then this new book. Yeah. So, okay, well, I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Great.
Bye, everyone. Danette, stay.